All right, great. Well, let's get started. Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarrett, live on the webinar as well as the LinkedIn Live. We appreciate you all coming today and spending a little time with us. And welcome to Technology Executives Club and the Technology Executives Review First Annual Recognition Awards. And you can see all the people we're going to say. We're not going to say hello to everybody, but we're going to basically thank everybody who's on this chart today. It's going to go by pretty quick, actually. And I'm your host, Alex Jarrett, and today we want to thank our Board of Advisor members. Now, all these people that I'm going to recognize today, we actually have a number of people that are involved, and these are the people that actually went out of their way this past year to record interviews with us and leadership sessions with us, and we appreciate that. And in fact, let me show you where you can see all this. So I'm going to go back to, here's the website, technologyexecutivesclub.com. And if you want to look at the videos, here's the Board of Advisors page. And you can see all the different Board of Advisors that are on the site. And you can click on one, for example, there's Neil. And there's his interview and a little about Neil. And so we have a number of those. And these are what we call our initial Board of Advisor interview. And it's great. And then also we have our leadership segments, which are here. And so what happens is our Board of Advisors will create that initial interview and then a series of leadership segments, and it's awesome. And we certainly have learned a lot from these people, and it's great. And I like to say they're sharing their hard-earned wisdom with the community. And that's exactly the next slide is that's what they're doing. We're thanking them for sharing their hard-earned wisdom and strategies with everybody to help you become a better business person, better technology leader. And that's what it's all about. So they share it with the overall technology and business community at large. By the way, my screen's over here. You see me looking back and forth. And in that way, our Board of Advisors are really the Board of Advisors to the community at large. That's what we're really doing. I showed you this a second ago, but you can watch the full videos on our site at technologyexecutivesclub.com. We have a new YouTube channel. I think I need to learn how to spell channel, obviously. We have I was thinking about Christmas gifts. We have a new YouTube channel called Technology Executives Review. And we also have our podcast called on Apple and Spotify under Technology Executives Review. So you can watch it, you can listen, whatever's easier for you. And next year, we'll be taking little excerpts from some of these interviews and publishing them in an annual compilation book. And that's all good. It's all good. It's just our way of sharing what we've learned from everybody in these videos. All right, so if you'd like to learn about our Board of Advisor program, just hit me up by setting up a discovery call on our site. That's at technologyexecutivesclub.com, or there's my email. And I'm also on LinkedIn. If you're watching on LinkedIn Live, you just get a hold of me there. Okay? All right. So let's start the first annual recognition awards. And I want to start by saying these recognition awards, again, are really our way of saying thank you to our first group of Board of Advisor members. And when I was starting to figure out how to do these awards, we had a in-person event also on October 30th, and I decided to do the webinar, which we'll repeat every year now because we'll reach more people, frankly, through the online media than we will in person. But it's nice to have both. And when I was thinking about this, about really thanking everybody who went out of their way to contribute. I mean, everybody's very busy. I appreciate you watching this right now, but everybody's very busy, and these people really worked hard at giving you their best insights, which I think is amazing. And we learned so much from these people. And, I always like to say, when I was doing the research, I actually looked up the first Academy Awards. And many of you may or may not know about the first Academy Awards, but I looked it up. And the first Academy Awards was not what we see today. The first Academy Awards was actually a big party. And they took 15 minutes to do the awards. And it was basically created by the studios. And it was actually Louis B. Meyer, Metro Goldwyn Mayer. And he and a couple other people started it. And they just basically said, hey, here's your award. Of course, it evolved over time. And that's an awesome thing as to the program that we know today and that we know and love. And I promise you, my award ceremony today will be a lot shorter than theirs. But I just find that interesting. So today we're starting with what we got, and we're going to keep evolving this every year, make it better and better every year. But the sentiment will remain the same. It's all about these people sharing and helping, and us saying thank you to them. And we may have categories and things like that, but we'll get there when we get there. So welcome to our first online ceremony. And again, it's our way of saying thank you. And each winner will be getting something simple in the mail. And but really, it's about recognizing them and saying thank you. And I would urge you to watch and listen to some or all of their recordings. And as I mentioned a minute ago, there are really some jewels of really practical wisdom for technology leaders for everyone. So here they are. Let's get to it. And what I'm doing is I'm actually looking to see who's live with me on the webinar. And if you're here and live, I'll say hello to you for a minute when I put up your slide. So the first I want to start with, and there's no particular order. I just got them on. We guys got them on the slides. There's no order to this other than let's just make sure we cover everybody. Uday Ayagari, who's the VP of Strategy and Innovation at Ascendum Solutions. He did an initial interview, but he also did a couple of technology executive review segments with me already. And one of the most popular ones is one called Enterprise AI and Creating Value Through Governance. That's a really important topic. As if you're a technology leader, you know that because everybody's saying AI, AI, AI. Everybody wants AI, but you got to be careful with it. So if you haven't watched this segment, be sure and watch that segment. And thank you, Uday, for your contribution by giving us that session as well as your initial interview. And you can see all the different things he did, those two segments. And he's got another one that we're recording. I think we recorded already. That's in editing. Tony Savage. Tony is from the Office of CTO and Cybersecurity and Head of America's channel at Checkpoint Software. And he did a segment, the initial interview, and he also did a really interesting segment on Zero Trust. And that's in our Technology Executives Review segment of our website. And it's on the podcast, and it'll be on the YouTube channel as well. And that's a very popular segment because everybody's interested in zero trust, especially nowadays. It's not trust and verify. And thank you to Tony. And those are the segments that he did. The next person is Tom Welke, who's a partner at RSM Solutions. And he's a staffing expert recruiter and contract for hire. He does a lot of that kind of work. And I really like Tom because he did a presentation for us on hiring the age of AI as well as his normal interview. And he did a great job. And, AI has changed the ability of people to respond on their on all their questions and their resumes and everything else. And it's really changed the game of recruiting. And that's a big part of what he talked about. And he talked about as a hiring executive, what should you do to change that, to overcome that? Because what's happening is these systems is they're getting a lot of people who are just using ChatGPT or AI. They're flooding all the candidates who get past that first stage. It doesn't really help. All right. So as much as you used to. So Tom Irvine, I think Tom's here. Let me say hello to Tom. Yep, he's here. And I think I can make him a panelist. And Tom, you can say hello for a minute. Tom, you there?
Yes, yeah. How are you? How you doing?
Good. How are you? So, Tom, we appreciate you. Tom, you did a great segment on you went to the Gartner Symposium, and you've also been in other events with us, but you went to the Gartner Symposium, and you talked about, as I recall, you talked about that was last year, the 2024 forecast, and that was a very widely watched segment. So we appreciate you doing that presentation.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah. Now, I think you and I talked about doing another one, so hopefully we'll be able to do another one, maybe more of an interview style. So
Yeah,
we can get
let's
that
do
out.
that. Let's do that in
That,
January.
that'd be great. But anyways, thank you for jumping in today, and we appreciate you being part of this.
Great. Thank you.
All right, go ahead. So go ahead. If you can just mute yourself, that'd be great. We appreciate it. All right. So the next is Tom Drez. Tom is a great guy. Now, for many of you who don't know me or the club or new to us, we were in the event space since 2001 to 2020 when the pandemic hit, and then we shifted online, which has been a wonderful journey. But Tom was with us pretty much since 2002 on, and he recently retired from Christian Brothers. Great guy, and if you get a chance to meet him, but he's done a lot of work with us. He did his initial interview, and he's been on multiple panels along with another young man, Prabir, Chatterjee. And so he's actually been on a lot of panels, always available, always out there and ready to help. So we really appreciate Tom, and you'll continue to see Tom this coming year. He's a great guy, and he's always willing to help. And he's like many of the executives that are with us, has done a number of roles. He's former CIO, CPO, and CSO. And I think he was CISO. Yeah, CISO, that's it. They call it Chief Security Officer there, but basically CISO. And he has a lot of wisdom, very practical, very tied in with the business. And whenever you talk to him, it's always about what are the business needs and the group serving the business needs, which just totally makes sense. One of the reasons he was so successful. And you can see he's been on a lot of different segments. So if you look at our site or listen to the podcast, you'll see Tom a lot. So thank you, Tom. Next is Tim Bartell. And Tim's a great guy. He's out of Wisconsin, CIO and CFO at Lakeshore Veins. But he's a great guy. And he did, in addition to his initial interview, a segment on organizational change management and on emotional intelligence. And I will tell you that the segment on emotional intelligence was really enjoyed by a lot of people. And it's out there. It's still on our site under Technology Executive Review. Highly recommended. The more I do these interviews, the more I realize how much being a technology leader is really about being with people. It is really still the old adage, people, process, technology. It's still true. It's still true. And if you're going to get something done, you do it through people. And that is about leadership. And you got to have a high, at least a middle level or high level of emotional intelligence to be a great leader. And you're going to get a lot of good tips just from watching that segment. So it's something that I learned a lot just listening to him. I always like to joke around that I think I was a C student. Maybe I'm a B plus student now. But it's something you can always learn. And it's really helpful. So I encourage you to watch that segment. And you can see he did a number of segments with us. Stan Hammond. Stan's a great guy. But Stan was has had a number of great jobs in his career, amazing jobs, big time jobs. He was the CIO of Pfizer, number of other major pharmaceutical companies. Now he's over at ServiceNow and just loving it. And he's a great guy. I spoke to him the other day, and he did an initial interview with me. And again, watch that initial interview with us. I know he wants to do more, and but he was also involved in one of our highlight session. And watch that initial interview. And he talks about this one big lesson. He talked about a number of lessons, but one of the ones that he talked about early on in his career, you know, how he's doing this big project. And then it was about getting that project successful, but it was less about all the people. And later on, he learned that it was really about all the people. And once he made that shift, his career just took off. It was really, really great examples from Stan. Great job for Stan. This is Rob, and let me thank Rob, the CIO at Jack Henry and Associates. He had two really cool stories. I'm going to go ahead with the patient care story. He was telling me the story that early on in his career, he was in healthcare, and he was in charge of, I don't know if it was radiology, but some kind of system that affected the result, the patient care systems. And almost the quote that he said is he couldn't sleep at night unless he knew that thing was working correctly. And we got to listen to him just for that quote, because from that point on, he really understood the connection, and that was early in his career, between the work that they do. So you may be in some office just coding something, but knowing how it relates to the actual end user customer of your company, and having your team know that is really effective. The other thing it's really interesting about Rob, which you may not know, is that he was a professional baseball umpire. It's a really cool story. You got to watch that story. He was a professional baseball umpire, and he talked about, you know how you make a call and the manager comes out and you see them on TV, they're like nose to nose. He said learning how to calm that down, to stay calm and calm the other guy down, was really an effective tool. He talked about remaining calm under pressure. And it's a really valuable lesson. There was just so many lessons in his video. It was a great, great interview. So thank you, Rob. We really appreciate you doing that this last year for us. And that's on the site. Prabir Chatterjee. I'm going to go to Prabir. Prabir has been also been with us for a number of years. He used to come to all the conferences. He's currently the CTO of a company called SPAAtech, which he's very, very actively involved in, which is data consultancy, data organization, and they do a lot of work in data and AI. One of the things that's interesting about Prabir, he was head of data for Spencer Gifts, which you may or may not know, does that Halloween spirit store that pops up every year. It's the largest pop-up store in North America. And he was in charge of getting all of the data ready for redoing all the data systems for Spirit Halloween, and also for for the whole group. He just did Spencer Gifts, and so it was really cool. And he's got a lot of lessons, and he's done a lot of work with us already. In addition to his initial interview, he's been on a number of panels. This is just a couple of them, but he did one on data and AI, data strategies, and we're starting a series of data in series, like data in manufacturing, that kind of thing. And we just did one on data in financial services we're going to publish soon. And we recorded it. It's in the editing room, and it'll come out. All the new ones are going to come out after the holiday. And so he did a great job. So we appreciate Prabir. Patrick Rafferty, such a great guy. He has done a lot of work at a very high level. He's known as the fixer. He's one of those guys that he gets in, he gets stuff done. And he moved from Illinois. When I knew him, he was senior VP of a big bank. I think he's in, God, I don't want to say it wrong. I think he's in New Mexico. And he decided to work from New Mexico because of family, wanted to be near family, and he's has a great career he's building there. And he did an interview on excellence, and he called it Organizing Your Technology-Based Career for Success. And he's really about excellence, and he talked about it being what you do, and it becomes a habit. And he had a lot of these sayings that were really helpful. So if you want to get sort of a credo about performing at a high level and achieving excellence, then you can learn a lot from Patrick and his interview. He did 2 interviews with me. One was the show, and the other was the initial board of advisor interview. Great guy. All right, Omar, Shanti, a new board of advisor member, and he's also a great guy. And one of these I like to call. He's already achieved a lot of success at I'm going to say at a young age, younger than me, and he is at a company called Hatchwork AIs, and the newer technology is something that he has in his career grown up with, basically. So he's one of these newer, younger technology leaders that's I call him a rising star. And you got to watch his interview, Omar, and just listen to how he thinks about concepts like blockchain and AI. Very precise. People talk about where are the personas, where are the examples of these newer technologies actually having real payback, and he knows a lot of them because that's what the type of work he's been working on. and I think he's been with Hatchworks for a year or two, and prior to that, he was at Solstice, which is now called Kin + Carta, a very successful major worldwide consulting firm now. I think they just changed their name again. And many of the Chicago people know that firm. He's a very bright guy, and I think you'll see a lot of him in the future. And he did again the board of advisory interview with us. So I'm sure he'll do more. Neil Goodrich. Neil's also one of these guys from Chicago. Great guy. He's the chief innovation and CIO at Envista Forensics. And one of the things I want to thank Neil. When you watch the interview with him, I think the thing that you're going to get from Neil is his enthusiasm for creating an environment where other people can have ideas that he helps them with. And what's really interesting about Neil is he was actually a detective in the insurance business in his first part of his career, and it was all about determining whether someone's telling the truth about insurance claims. And he talks about how the skills that he created to discern that, he then went into IT and technology, and really he went into innovation, and he really started to perform early on in things like helping internally people get better features on all the different systems. And because he became a really good listener and had genuine enthusiasm for helping them. And it's a really great story. If you know Neil, you'll know what I'm talking about. But just watch his interview for at least for 10 minutes, and you'll see his enthusiasm just comes right onto the screen. And he's very good, very good. So thank you, Neil. And Nathan Rajen, I'm going to say hi to him. And actually, I think he's with us now. Yes, he is. I'm going to make him a panelist. I think you're on your cell phone, right, Nathan? Hi, Nathan.
Hey, Alex, how are you? I'm here.
Nathan, how are you? Good to hear you.
I'm doing wonderful.
You're on your cell phone, right? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Brazil, heading back to you, heading to the airport right now.
He's in the airport calling from Brazil. So there's a guy who cares about everybody, and I appreciate that. So Nathan, boy, I don't have time to go through your career, but you've just had a wonderful career. And you're still having a wonderful career. Great guy.
I'm gonna very spotty here.
Okay. Well, let me just say thank you to Nathan. Thank you to let me tell the group that Nathan's had a wonderful career at a lot of great companies, top consulting firms, and then at Ford Motor Company. You had a great stint, and you told so many cool stories. One of the stories I really liked from you, Nathan, was you were at Ford when the whole CAD CAM thing came, and how it transformed the way cars were made. And you were part of that team that helped them do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we're having trouble with the audio, but let me get through that. But we appreciate you calling in. But the other thing that Nathan has done recently is a Joyson Safety Systems. And I got to tell you, if you want to learn how to be versatile, watch Nathan's board of advisor interview. He's been the CIO, the CTO, and now you're the CISO at Joyson Safety Systems, which you don't know who they are, largest manufacturer of airbags in the world, in North America at least, possibly the world. And Nathan is a great example of the lesson I learned from you, Nathan, was understand your culture and accept it, and be there really to be there for the other people and to help the other people and just be there. So thank you, Nathan. Okay, I think we lost Nathan. Nathan, we appreciate you. I think we lost him. He called in from Brazil. All right, the next executive is Michael Langlis, who's the former CTO at Calix Network, and he has an incredible background. Let me tell you a little about his background, but he gave us a board of advisor interview. He did a great job, and let me share a little more about Michael. He's the former CTO at Calix, and he just did a board of advisor interview, and it says to be published soon. It's on the website. He's the former CTO at Calix, and to show you his, so that's Michael, and you can click on there and see his interview. And the reason why I wanted to highlight him, he had such an interesting career. He was at Cisco, and he was in charge of all the software development for Cisco on their way up. And then when switching came out and their business went down very quickly, he was in charge of the group that fixed that. So he's got a book coming out. He hadn't told me the name yet, but it's all about the innovator's dilemma and overcoming that and some of the things that they learned. A lot of lessons are coming from Michael, and we appreciate him being part of the community. Tim Bailey, now he's with Beam Coaching. At the time, he was the CIO at Farm Bureau of Michigan. Really bright guy. And he did a number of interviews with us. He did a series of interviews of leadership segments, cybersecurity event planning. That was really good. System implementation journeys. That was really good. And also, let's see what this last one. Oh, leadership development. I got to tell you, everyone has got a number of jewels in there. I'd watch them all. I learned a lot just listening to them, to be honest with you. Very good and definitely worth listening to. So thank you, Kim, for doing that. Jeff Sheets, I think we got Jeff with us today. Let me make you a panelist, Jeff. Jeff, you ought to be able to say hello.
Hello, Alex. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Well, we appreciate you calling in. The next time I go see my family in Scottsdale, I'm going to come visit you. We're going to plan that. And Jeff joined. I think I met Jeff online, just like I may meet a number of you online. He's the CIO at the city of Avondale. And Jeff, you and your team have won a number of awards. I think, what are some of the awards? Icon Awards and some of the other big CIO awards. And the thing I liked about you when I asked you about that, your first comment was, it's really not about you, it's about you and the team, right?
It is. Yep. It's all, the team makes it all possible.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that I really enjoyed from one of our interviews with you was, I enjoyed a lot of them, but the point that because you're running a CIO department for a city, it's all about citizen engagement and about the services do the right thing for the citizens, correct?
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, anything you want to add? Well, I got you on the.
No, just thanks for all you're doing and looking forward to everything going on in 25.
Likewise. Well, we appreciate you and we appreciate you calling in just to say hello. Thanks for doing that, Jeff.
You bet. Thank you.
for your services last year with our community. All right. So, and Elaine Cartier, she is the Senior Director of Digital Transformation at Sienna. And her interview is now published. We just published it recently. Yep, there's Elaine. And this is a really good interview if you're interested in aligning digital transformation with the business needs and the business goals. She's got a center of excellence strategy that she has created. A framework, really is a better way of saying it, a framework of doing that. And she did it first at CDW in a big way. She was actually in charge of a big part, if not the whole, I think the whole transformation of their website. And if you recall, when CDW first emerged, they were one of the first companies to have such a robust e-commerce site. And she did a great job on that. And then before that, she was working on what she called the back end internal systems. Then she went to the front end with the front end customer experience facing systems. And now she's back at Sienna and she's really excited about concepts like digital twins and things like that, where she can help transform the way they do their work at Sienna on the back end as well. So she's really good. It's worth watching just for that one 10-minute soundbite, how she describes her process about 2/3 away into the interview. It's worth watching for that. So thank you, Elaine. I'm sure we'll see more from her. David Williamson. I think I saw David Williamson here. Yep, he's here. I'm going to make you a panelist, David. David?
Yes, Alex, I'm here.
Hi, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being on the board and frankly taking the time like everybody else to do the.
Sure, absolutely. It's been a great experience and love the networking and learning aspects that you put together.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Now, Dave, for everybody who doesn't know this company, have such a cool company you work with. They are the company, like if you have an idea for a drug, you need help getting through FDA and everything else, you do it, right? Your company will help formulate and create the drug and then help them get it through the process. Is that accurate? Did I describe that
Yeah,
right?
you've got it. Yeah, everything from the research to refine the molecule you have in mind, all the way up to full scale production. We have a wide variety of services, all in and around that to help you move, help you meet unmet medical needs out there, and there's a lot of them.
That's so cool. Well, one of the things I really admired from your interview is your initial background. I can't remember if it was math or physics. I think it was it math
No,
related?
chemistry. Yeah,
Chemistry. That's
chemistry.
that's
A
right.
long time
Yeah.
ago.
Chemistry. That's right. Which totally makes sense for what you do now. Like you totally understand the product process, and I see that a lot with some people that are super successful. Is they really tie into the business itself, and you may take it for granted, but it's a big thing. So, but anyways, thanks for saying that about the networking. I'm not really talking about that much today, but a big part of our program for the Board of Advisor program is we have two peer groups that meet monthly virtually. So in addition to being on our channels and getting exposure, I like to call it HGTV for technology leaders. You also get to be involved with each other, right, Dave?
Yes, yes. But you mentioned it earlier. It's about people and the team, and building our own team at the leadership level.
Bingo. That's exactly right. That's a good way of saying it. I'm gonna have to keep that one. Thank you. Well, anyways, thank you for being part of that. Watch his initial interview. Hope we get you to do some other works. We'll do a regroup meeting and get you scheduled on some other stuff. Tim, I got your note. Thank you. And Dave, thank you and appreciate you being part of the community.
All right, take care, Alex.
All right,
Thanks for
talk
having
to
me.
you. All right. All right, well, let's keep moving. Bill Hesser, great guy, former CIO transformation at Wire Instruments, and he's a great guy, and we appreciate him being part of the group. And he was on a number of sessions, did a great interview with me. It's still on there. And uh, one thing I really like about Bill was we did this initial interview, and it came back to the people issue. He had to come in and change some things around, and as part of that process, some people, the old on the bus or not on the bus thing, went through that, and then that had to be done for his organization, and then he was able to align himself with the rest of the people and really make the changes to really help transform Dwyer. And he tells a number of good stories there, which are worth watching. So definitely worth watching that interview. It's great. He did a great job with that. All right, well, let's keep moving. Did I do that right? Alan, you there?
Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, I made it. Okay, I just realized that. Okay, it's 12:40. I better get you up here
Oh,
because
good.
I see you there. So I skipped to you. So Alan, you're another great guy. I really appreciate meeting you the last couple of years. We met online, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
you're
right.
in Kansas City. Yeah. So you're the CIO at Spencer Fane, but when you started, you were you were in charge of IT, and I got to tell you, that's a huge accomplishment. Everybody, if you don't know law firms, I call it the feudal system, which is pretty accurate, right? And because the lawyers, the partners, they all have their practices and they're able to all work together. It's pretty amazing. And we've had a couple great conversations. We just recorded a new one, which I think is going to be really interesting. Again, the new ones are going to come out after the holiday. But we did an initial interview with you. In addition to bragging about Kansas City barbecue, you talked about, right? On your board of advisor interview, I think you had a great segment, which was about sort of your life journey. Remember
Yeah.
that? You remember talking about that with me? Yeah. And I think anybody, I got to tell you, no matter where somebody is in their life, they're always thinking about that. And I think your episode is worth watching just for that tip alone, because you had so many good insights about that. And what's really interesting, I found about you and your career journey, is you thought you were going to be a lawyer and then you were doing consulting on the side, and it found out you loved it and went with that. And now you're essentially, you had created your own career. You manifested it. That's probably a very good way of saying it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and a lot of great things are still to come. So it's definitely fun to think about the different ways that we build what we do, and ultimately, yeah, grateful today too to be with you and have gotten to know you and the other members of the group. It's such a great collaborative team. You know, I consider it really one of kind of sometimes of my second team. It's great to have a sounding board for a lot of the issues we all deal with. So it's been a great experience.
Well, that's so nice of you to say. Just like Dave, said a minute ago, yeah, right now I'm talking about the videos and everything, but I appreciate you bringing up part of the service is definitely that peer group that we run, 2 of them a month, and we love having you there. Yeah, we love having you there, Alan. So I appreciate you being part of the community.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you, Alex.
All right, see you later. And let me go back to that segment. I don't see, let's see, I think we're good here. Let me go back to the segment for the recording for Anuf Durrani, who's the VP of Engineering at Granger. I've known Anna for a number of years. She used to go to our conferences, and we kind of reconnected a couple of years ago. And he said, "Yeah, I'll join this group." And he did a great initial interview with me. He's been on a couple other summary segments. And God, he's just got you can see his smile. It's very genuine. He is such a bright guy, and did a tremendous interview because he went through software development, but then engineering, which is actually quite interesting. And software engineering. So he always he sees himself as an engineer. And I think that is fascinating. And he's had a number of really high level jobs at a number of different companies. And one of the things I asked him, one of the things he said in the interview was he was never afraid to take on a challenge because he had confidence in his capabilities to be able to handle that. And I think that is really interesting. And you just look at his background online on our site and you'll see, but he had a lot of good tips. And again, he talked about people. I mean, I think 2/3 of the interview was about people. And he's a great leader there. You can tell just by listening to him. So we appreciate Anna being part of the community and giving us that interview. So I urge you to watch that one. Here it is here. I'm just going to say hi to Tim just for a minute. Tim, you want to say hi? Can you speak? You ought to be able to speak. I just made you a panelist. If not, he's texting me and saying hi. Well, anyways, Tim, I just want to recognize you. We appreciate you being part of the community, and you did good work. And Scott up. Now, Scott, really interesting interview that we did with Scott. And he's one of our newer members, and he's president and CEO at Co-Sourcing Partners. It's actually another one that we just published. And there he is right at the top. He's our most recent one. And you can watch that interview. Scott and his company, they do very targeted staffing and consulting in the area of machine learning and AI. And when you talk about actually practical applications of this technology, you got to listen to Scott, because he's got they've been doing it for years, initially with the machine learning, and they've been doing it for a number of years. And they also have created a system that they use for marketing and sales. And we talked about in an interview, the old saying of eating your own dog food. A lot of the services that they've created, they do them for themselves. And it's amazing. Does Scott know his numbers? It's just a pleasure to watch and listen to Scott. And if you want to learn again about how to think about AI and machine learning in terms of practical applications, what can really work, watch the interview with Scott and reach out to Scott. I want to thank all the Board of Advisor members and appreciate everybody for their participation. And I want to thank you for watching and listening today. It's a pleasure. I always like to say it's our honor to serve you. That's what it's all about. Be sure and watch the full videos on our site at technologyexecutivesclub.com and watch on our new YouTube channel. Again, got it spelled correctly. That should be spelled differently, but the Technology Executives Review is correct. It's on Apple and Spotify. Actually, the YouTube channel is Technology Executives Review, and our podcast is also under the same name on Apple and Spotify. And the YouTube channel, as of the time of this recording, only has a few videos, and we'll probably have in the first month or so of the year have everything caught up to speed. That's a project we just launched on our part of the platform. And if you'd like to learn about our Board of Advisor program, where you can be a Board of Advisor to the community, help people by sharing your heart or wisdom. I like to think of it as the HGTV and technology leaders. We also have on the back end to get a lot of exposure, or help with your executive brand, help you grow your network, and help you build your career or grow your business. But it also, we have on the back end, for every member, we have 2 peer groups that we run virtually, and you can just hear what the people said about them, and people love them, and it's a good thing. So be sure to reach out to me by setting up a discovery call on our site, or just email me here at this email. And in the meantime, I like to cover all my bases here. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and whatever you celebrate, happy holidays. We're grateful for you. We appreciate you being part of our community. Thanks, everybody.